And we begin here,
There we
TexAgs
go.
Rewind. And Billy, one thing about this show that you know, no matter what, I'm going to have water on the table typically. Here's my water. And also my coffee. And what is
Pintail Lodge.
insulating my coffee?
Yeti.
Yeti. And who is the proud presenting sponsor of TexAgs Rewind?
Yeti.
That is correct. That is starting today. And by the way, I wish my house was a Yeti. I think it would be awesome.
Oh, it would be temperature. You'd stay cool.
Whatever you want.
You'd stay cold.
If you want it hot, it's hot. It stays, right? So
Yeah,
maybe
man.
they should get into the constructing homes business.
Cedars, the Cedars brothers will do a little bit of anything. I you know my personal connection to Yeti.
Yeah.
So I'm a lifetime loyal, more than a loyal supporter. So the fact that we even get to partner with them on any level means just a little bit more to me than any partnership we've got. We have some great ones with people I consider friends, but Cedars, they're like lifelong.
Well, I also want to say this. Unscientific, I've had a Yeti on this desk every time, but maybe twice when I forgot it at home. Every day. So Thank you to them. All right, let's talk about the weekend it was. Great weekend. During the Go Hour, we talked about it with OB. We talked about it all show long. We had Coach Schlossnagle join the show while Billy was here, thanks to Jim after that marathon of a victory over Texas Tech. We also talked to Buzz. That team just keeps doing it, man.
What a weekend! What a game! Well, you end the weekend with this marathon at Minute Maid, or you beat Texas Tech, which is always fun to do in anything. By the way, rough weekend for the Red Raiders.
Basketball.
They've had some wild coaching stuff over the years, haven't they?
Yeah,
And then Texas A&M and what Buzz and Wade and the crew did at Reed Arena on Saturday. I mean, that was a special. This has been a special run. It's been a special season. And now you enter that realm where every tournament you're in ends with one loss.
Yep.
And, man, we are going to cling to this basketball team because we don't want that ride to end, and we want to see them play and play and play on. And I would say because of all the memories they've brought us already this year, this is a unforgettable basketball team. And you really go back even to last year in this 2-year run with this core nucleus of guys is a team that Aggie fans, and especially Aggie basketball fans, but I think Aggie they've transcended that.
Absolutely.
Aggie fans, they're an unforgettable bunch. But because of that and the reason why they've captivated us so much, I think they're destined for something special. And I'm not talking about off the court and in basketball beyond A&M because I think those things are out there and likely as well. But I'm talking about right here, right now, this basketball team, because of the passion they play with, because of the heart, they don't. You think we don't want to see this team run in?
Right.
Those guys, like they're gonna fight you, and that's what they showed Saturday. They went toe to toe with number 2, a 1 seed in the tournament, and they beat them. And by the way, David, they controlled most of the game. Bama made that run, and they went ahead for like one possession. Wade Taylor hits a 3, ties it. But they made that run, and A&M didn't flinch. They didn't blink. But throughout the 40-minute game, Texas A&M outplayed Bama. They deserved to win that game. If Bama would have won it, they would have stolen it. A&M outplayed a 1 seed for 40 minutes.
All right, here's TexAgs Rewind, brought to you by Yeti. Check it out. Just overall, which makes those losses to Auburn, to South Carolina, or Arkansas by Bama so hard to swallow because A&M right now could be your SEC co-champions, right?
Co-champs. Well, of course, you could always come back and say, hey, hold on to your 9-point lead against Mississippi State.
Right.
It is what it is. What they did was they improved their NCAA tournament record resume, and that's even more important.
Yep.
So, you would have loved to have had a championship, and, you would have loved for Auburn to hold on to the 17-point lead, or South Carolina. What if they had lost all 3 of those games to South Carolina, Arkansas, and Auburn?
But I think
which was very possible.
Maybe it makes that win, though, even more sweet because it's had a similar recipe for Alabama. Get down by double digits and do what you do. Come back and make the game-winning plays at the end. Who made the game-winning plays at the end?
It was the Texas A&M Aggies,
That's
Wade
right.
Taylor in particular. What a freaking explosion this guy has been. He's always been good, but he is in the last month or so, 2 months, has just raised his game to elite level.
Yep.
If his guy's not a first, even if they're not going to do, they'll probably have 8 first teamers on All SEC, which should be announced this week. But if they only had 5, like the way it should be,
right,
he would. You cannot argue. You cannot make an argument now against Wade Taylor not being one of the 5 best players in the SEC. You can't.
Absolutely, you're right.
Now, it doesn't mean that, again, that the way SEC votes, that would be, that he would get that acknowledgement. But any sane, rational, unbiased person, you can say, well, you're biased. You cover Texas A&M, you're wearing an A&M shirt. Okay. Any sane, unbiased person, take me out of it, can't look at that and say, that guy's not one of the 5 best players in the SEC.
Either offensively or defensively. One or two things that really stood out to you coming out of this weekend where you go, okay, I kind of liked what that looked like outside of pitching.
The first thing would be our catching.
Mm-hmm.
I thought J.D. Gregson looked like a real player yesterday. Played with emotion, had good body language with the pitching staff, put together some good at-bats. Hank Bard's getting more and more confident. And that's not to say Max Coffer isn't going to be a part of it either.
Yeah.
But we all know it's a lot to roll a 17-year-old out there and in what we're facing and what we're about to face. So that would be one. And then I think just the overall depth. Last year when we had a big injury or something, the level of play went from one level to a pretty big drop. Where Chad Tracy, Cason Wells had an awesome at bat to lead off the 9th inning yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and Caden Kent's versatility. One thing we're really trying to get more of in recruiting is just versatile players, left-handed hitters, switch hitters, guys that are high school shortstops that can move and play multiple positions, multiple spots in the outfield. So I think we're starting to see the fruits of that.
How proud were you? You guys, you came out and took it to Bama early, and then they made that run, and you look up all of a sudden after controlling the game, and they hit a 3 and you're down 3, and then Wade answers it right back. It's one of the rare times I can remember this year in conference play where you guys had a nice lead, gave it up in the second half, and then came back and won. I felt like that made this one a little bit different than some of the others, not to mention the caliber of opponent and what was at stake.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Very well said. We've held the opponent to the lowest first half scoring output in the league over the course of 18 games.
Mm-hmm.
I think teams were averaging 26 or 27 points going into Saturday's game. Obviously, they're the fastest team in the league, the second fastest team in the country. They play at warp pace. We do not want to play at that pace. We did a really good job in the first half at controlling tempo. Our offense helped our defense. I thought our plan defensively, specific to transition, was really good. But I also thought, in the first 12 seconds of the clock, they had shot 86% of their balls.
Really?
That's that's an outlier. That's a crazy number. Hey, 86% of our shots are going to occur from 3 or at the rim, and 45% of our shots are going to take place in the first 6 seconds. That's really, really fast. I thought we did a really good job when we had the ball in regards of time of possession, almost football-like. But I thought we did a really good job of getting them past that 12-second imaginary threshold that we practiced and prepared for. In the second half, we weren't as good.
They have overcome it. Get that crap off my screen. I don't need to see it. I actually wish they would have beaten Memphis. Man, that game they could have won. But I don't care because I'm looking at that and I see 15-3. I see second place in probably the second best conference in college basketball this year.
Mm-hmm.
I see not only second, but a clean second. There ain't anybody within 2 games of them in second. They beat the first place team and finished 1 game behind them. I mean, this is clearly the second best team in the SEC. I don't care what Tennessee did in the non-conference, and now they don't have Zakai Ziegler. this team since January 1st is the second best team in this conference, and their resume is probably a top 5 in college basketball. I kind of like this Field of 68 podcast. Jeff Goodman, look, I don't think there's any doubt he was a Billy Clyde hater. I feel like he's a buzz. He doesn't pull for buzz. He's unfairly harsh on buzz, which makes it, he's never been overly positive about A&M. And it's more, he's a more blue blood guy. But I think they do a good podcast. I enjoy listening to it. I actually like Jeff. But I was listening the other night, and they were one of the guys was going at it with him that, he's come around to A&M begrudgingly. He said, you know what? They're good. I was wrong. And then he made a fair point. He's like, but why wouldn't I have been wrong based on their non-conference? Why would I have not written them off?
None of us thought this was going to happen at 6-5.
That was 15-3 in the conference, and where they're at was my hope for the whole year. Was better than that. I'm like, if they could finish in the top 4 in the league this year, be a lock in the tournament, get in that top half of the seeding, maybe a 6, 7, 5.
All right, Billy, I do got to give props to Nick Savage and the crew. Look at the new graphic. It looks different.
It's clean.
I
like that a lot. They did a great job. Look, we got the Yeti down there. I love it.
Sharp look. Isn't that good?
I love it.
Yeah, good job, guys.
There's a jump ball. That's the only thing Bama won on Saturday.
Anybody in the background that we see that we know?
By the way, if A&M, the last thing Alabama wants to do is play Texas A&M right now. The Aggies took down the Tide last year. They're one of the only teams in football that have beaten Alabama twice in the time since the Aggies have joined the SEC. Both times Bama was number 1. They almost beat them this year when Bama was a massive favorite. They took them down to the very last snap. And I believe they beat them 5 times in a row in basketball. And Alabama's had some pretty good to / great basketball teams during that time.
Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks.